All right. So I want to believe most of you are in Canada. Is that the case? Please, you can use
No,
the
not
chat
really.
if, okay, not really. That's okay. You can use the chat if you're not able to talk, but if you're able to talk
Oui.
to feel. We, okay, yeah. No, okay, no from Joseph, no from Enoch. Other people here in Canada, Canada aspirants, okay, good. iPhone is in Canada, great. I want to know where you are so I'm able to tackle everyone's location and know how to go about it. Cyril is in Canada, Willie Canada, great. Um, Andy Canada, good. John Canada, good. Gino, no, okay. Good. Please tell me your location. Joseph from France, great. Samuel, Ghana, good. US Nash, okay. Ghana, lady. Oh, I like your name. Good. Ghana. Okay. It's good to know that it's not just Canadian so that I don't restrict it because the information will be dependent on your location. So I'll try my best to tackle from different angles so that everyone can benefit from it. I'm hoping we finish this in an hour and then also have like a question and answer session for those who may have questions. Um, Briefly, if you've heard of TCF, TEF exams, that is officially the exams that we accept in Canada for those who want to relocate here. And if you are already here, for those who want to get their permanent residency. Okay. So that's the exams that you take. Are we familiar with CELPIP or IELT? Those in Canada, I'm sure you're familiar with CELPIP, but those who are outside of Canada, are you familiar with CELPIP, IELT, those kind of English exams that you normally would take for school or for usually for US, yeah. At least I want reactions. That's what's going to help me to know where you are and how to tackle it. Okay. IELTS, yeah. Okay. Okay, so most people are familiar with the IELTS. So that's what this exams is also about. With TCF, TEF exams is similar to CELPIP or that of the IELTS, but this is the French version, okay? So CELPIP or IELTS is English, and then TCF or TEF is French. And in Canada, if you want to relocate here or get your permanent residency, we use either TCF or TEF. So we are going to delve deeper into that and why it's essential for you to take them. Who we are, so this is Francais avec Ellen. We are one of the online leading schools here in Canada, and we specialize in training people to take their TCF and TEF exams. And all our teachers have their master's degree and they are equipped and qualified to train students here. So that's what we do. Maybe someone will be asking, in what capacity are we to be given this advice? That's what we've been doing for quite some time now, so we know what we are talking about based on the information that we give you. Okay. And someone may be asking, why am I the one in particular talking? What kind of experience do I have to be given this information to you? My name basically is Elena J, and I'm a certified French educator. I have 6 years of teaching experience, and I've been teaching TEF, TCF for the past 2 years. And we have numerous students who have passed and gotten their permanent residency here in Canada through Francais avec Ellen. Um, Also, I'm the director and lead pedagogical advisor at Francais avec Ellen, and I have two master's degree, one in French language pedagogy at from University of Guelph, and the second is master's in French literature from Western University. So this is basically who I am. And I'm saying this not to brag, but to let you know that we are qualified here. We know what we are doing. We are not just organizing something to spread false information or to give you something that you don't need. Right. So with that, oh yes, the school. With that up, let's get straight into what we have for today. As I mentioned, with the French route, there's something called the Canadian language benchmark, which is the kind of mark you need or the score you need to add to your main score so that you qualify for the French route. There are two things to keep in mind. Just in case your aim is to go through the Canadian experience route, all you need is a CLB 5 or 6. That means that you don't necessarily have to have a level of B2 in French, okay? You can take the exams if you have a level of A2, B1. It's very easy for you to get the CLB 5 or 6. Once you get that and you attach it to your application that this is going to be your second language, you get marks for it, and that can increase your score. But if your aim is to use a French route, then you are looking at getting CLB 7 to CLB 12. Okay, so, but you don't get the maximum. Yes, you don't get the maximum marks. You only get some marks to help you with your Canadian experience entry. But if you are using the French route, then you need to get CLB 7 minimum. Okay, and CLB 7 is you having B2, not just any B2. With B2, we have B2 lower, and then we have B2 upper. So you need to be getting the B2 upper, which is 7. B2 lower will give you like a 6, okay? So B2 upper gives you the 7. So that's what you should be targeting. So from 7 to 12, you get the max. You get additional 50 points. So apart from the marks you will get from you speaking French or you being Francophone, you get additional 50 points just because you got 7. Okay, so that's why we recommend people to put in the work to be able to get that additional 50 points. For instance, if your score right now is about 350 and you take the French exams, you get additional 50 points. So then now your score becomes 400. And they could also give you if say I had a CLB 7, the points they would give me, I could get say 30 points in addition, and I'll end up being in my 480s and all. So if they are calling for French, if you're calling for people who speak French, I will be called. There's a high chance I'll be called. And if they are calling for the Canadian experience, if I already have 1 year work experience in Canada, I will also be called. I hope that makes sense. So using French is just, I hear people say that, oh, we had our PR through French is the easiest way. Bro, it's not easy. Yeah, we had to learn the language and write it. Do you understand? So even though it's easy, they say it's easy because of the points we have, right? Because you get additional 50 plus the points they give you. So more points coming from just you speaking French. Isn't that fun? Anyways, yeah. Let me show you how it's calculated. Both exams, depending on which one you are writing, we have the TCF and then the TEF. For all two, you have the reading, the writing, the listening, and then the speaking. For the reading, you should have a minimum of 453 to 498. And for the writing, you should have a minimum of 10 to 11, and listening minimum of 458 to 502, and speaking minimum of 10 to 11. All these will be B2. That's the minimum. The higher you go, the more points you have. And this level is the advanced level. So if you have a C2, then you're around this level, the 10 and above. Okay, so C2 is 10 and above. But if you are B2, you are here, B2, 7, and then 8 as well. And if you have a C1, you are around this line, the 9. So that's how it's calculated depending on which exams you are taking. Why you should take French, or I guess if you are here, you've already decided to go through the French route, why it's very essential. When you look at the numbers on the screen, you see the first one is French language category. All three are Canadian Express entry draws, okay? And the first one is for French. And French, the score for just this month, when they called people, the score was 420. So if I had, say, 421 or 420, they will call me. And they called 5,000 people. Most of these people, interestingly, are coming outside of Canada. That's the sad part. We are inside the country, we are not taking advantage of it and then writing the exams, but rather people who are outside are putting in the work, writing it, and then being called to come to the country. The reason why the government is focusing so much on French is that when you look at Canada, with all the provinces that we have, it's only Quebec, which is the Francophone speaking province. And most of the provinces that we have here, we don't have French speakers in there. So the government's plan is to get French speakers in the other provinces. That's why this is going on. It seems to me that French is not going to stop anytime soon. If you follow Olu, that Nigerian guy who is working with the parliament and all, you will see that they have plans of keeping on or keeping up with the French. Like it's not going to change anytime soon. So it's a good time for you to learn the language. When you look at Canada Express entry with the Canadian Experience class, you see 517. With all these people, among all these people, they called only just 2,000. But French was what, 5,000. And look at the score. The score was higher. To be able to even get to 500, if you're in Canada, you know it's a lot of work. It's wahala. It's a lot, right? And if you are going through the provincial nomination program, the score for last month, actually, because this month they didn't make any job. The score for last month was 720, and the people they called was 955. When you look at it, you realize that French is the way out. I mean, if you are going through the Canadian experience class, that's also good. But I will also recommend that you attach French to it because it will help boost your score. Imagine your score is now 450, but you want to go through Canadian experience class. Then your best bet is to write the French, and then even if you don't get a B2 and you end up getting a B1, that can add up to your score and probably get into the 500s. If you've studied the draws so far, you realize that for Canadian Express entry, the score is always above 500. Like they never call people below 500. So you need to be getting into the 500s. And the best way to do that is to use French. And since last year, almost every 2 months, they call people from the French language category. They call people more than they call people from the Canadian Express experience class and that of provincial nomination program. For French, once you score and then you are in the pool, there's a high chance you'll be called in 2 months. When I did mine, in just 15 days after I submitted my document and I was called. It's that fast, okay? And they can go as low as 320. Last year, February, they went as low as 320. It never happens for all the other categories, but for French, they do it because they want more people in the country. And it's not just for people who are outside the country, it's also for people who are in the country, as long as you speak French, wherever you are, as long as you speak French, good for you. Good. Now to the big question, which is between the TCF and the TEF, which one is easier? I've heard people ask lots of questions about this, so we are going to look at that as well. As I mentioned earlier, both are accepted for the PR route, whether you're using it for your Canadian experience or you're just going through the French or the Francophone routes, both are accepted. And both are also computer-based exams. So you do it on the computer, depending on the center you're writing from. I think in Ghana, they also do the manual one where you write like on the table and all, but in Canada, it's mostly the computer-based one. I don't know about Nigeria. And the exam is also valid for 2 years, same as self-paper. You see how self-paper is valid for 2 years. After 2 years, you have to write again. But French is valid for 2 years. So it means that if you write the language, if you write the language test and then you pass and they call you for your PR, the next time you are going to take the test is when you're applying for your citizenship, right? That's if you want it. Not everyone applies for citizenship, but if eventually you decide to go in for your citizenship, you would have to rewrite the exam because that would be more than 2 years. Again, yeah. So that's the similarities. And then let's look at the differences. When you pick TCF and TEF, they both have 4 sections. And the 4 sections, we are talking reading, we are talking writing, listening, and speaking. For reading, you would have 39 questions, and you have to do it in 60 minutes. That's for TCF. And then for TEF, you would have 40 questions, and you have to do it in 60 minutes. So the difference is that TCF has one more, like +1, and then TEF has +1, and then TCF has less than 1. Just that over here, the TCF is very easy to read and very easy to understand. Both of them, the more it goes up, the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. Just that one is very easy to understand because most times they focus on everyday things, everyday conversation and all that. If you don't have like a very high level and all, if you look at it, you definitely be able to understand some of them. But the higher you go, the difficult it becomes. Yes. And then for the listening part, TCF has 39 questions. You finish it in 35 minutes. And then TEF has 40 questions. You finish in 40 questions. That means +1 for TEF. Just that with TCF, you don't see the questions when they are playing the audio. You only see the questions after the audio is played. So it means you need to be very attentive. Like if you're not someone who is able to like listen and you can like, because of the language you are speaking and all that, because sometimes they use different accents. You can have the Quebecois accent. If you're familiar with the Quebecois accent, you understand what I'm saying. Like it's not a joke. Even if you're very used to the French accent, the Quebecois accent is totally different. If you're not used to it, you probably not understand anything that they are saying. No matter how good you are in the language, I kid you not. Sometimes I have like a struggle like understanding what exactly they are saying. Anyways, but for the TEF, you see the questions while the audio is being played. So that can also give you clues to even like find the answers. So if you are taking it from the angle of listening, then I would say that TEF is easier. Personally, that's the only part that makes me want to write TEF, right? But other than that, we look at the other reasons for the other ones. But yeah, that's the difference for the side. Great. And then the second part, the third one is the writing expression. Here, TCF, you have 3 questions, you have to finish it within 60 minutes. And then TEF, you have 2 questions, you have to finish it within 60 minutes. Good news for TCF is that the scenarios they'll give you are everyday scenarios. For instance, write a letter to your friend to invite them to come for your birthday party, right? Or to invite your friend to come do something for you. It's friendly, and there's a part where write an email to your boss or write a blog, comment on an article. But the questions they will give you are really straightforward, and they are things you can relate to. TEF is the opposite. TEF is more academic writing style. If you are not really into that part, like it becomes tricky. People who probably like did their masters or people who probably like studied French in school could probably take this and then it will be easier for them. But people who are just really like learning the language for the exam's sake, it's best to go with the TCF in this, just based on the writing expression. Okay. And in as much as we see 60 minutes for both, and one is 2 tasks and one is 3, for both, you really need to be able to manage your time. that 60 minutes you see, it will just move away like quickly. It comes by so fast. So you really need to be able to manage your time. If you can't manage your time, then even for both, it's not recommended, right? But because you write 3 tasks, people find it more challenging to manage their time or to finish when it comes to the TCF. But there are lots of structures that we use, so it's able to like help students to finish early. If you're able to master the structure before you go in to write the exams, it becomes easier. That most of our students end up finishing their 3 tasks in 15 minutes because they already mastered the structure before they go in there. So in that regard, it's easy. But oh yeah, oh yes, there is. I'll explain that shortly. And then for the task 2, for the TEF, there's really no structure. Like there's no structure for you to really master to go and write the exam. So that can also become a bit complicated for people when they are writing it. For instance, when you are writing the TCF, so Nash, responding to your question, for TCF, one thing is that they are very big on your word count, both exams actually. The first task will be around writing a letter to your friend will be around 60 to 120 words. No matter the exams you are taking, they will let you know how many words you are writing. And then the second task will be 120 to 150. And then the third is 150 to 180. No matter what the tasks or the exams you are writing, you have to make sure you are respecting the word count. If they say to 120, you are respecting to 120. My recommendation is always to stay within. And so don't write beyond 110 because sometimes you think you are writing 120 exactly. By the time you realize you've written more than the 120 and that could go against you. Right? So target doing 10, minimum 10, but never do close to the minimum. For instance, task 1 day, or when I say task, it means task. I tend to mix the words. So yeah, just so you know. When you take the task 1 and they say minimum 60, or let's say task 2 and they say minimum 120 words, don't go close to the 120. Go close to the maximum, which is the maximum is 150. Go close to the maximum. That's you doing, say, 140. So you are safe. Why I say don't go close to the minimum is that normally beginners will end up writing fewer words. Like they don't go beyond. So if I take someone's text and I see that the person has written 60 words, my first instinct, this person is a beginner. Like there's no way I will give that question to someone who is advanced or someone who has a B1, B2, and the person will just give me 60 words because I said write between 60 to 120. So always go closer to the maximum required. Okay, so that's a good way to get more marks. Because the less you write, the less marks you are getting. The more you write, the more marks you are getting. But mind you, never go beyond the maximum. They will penalize you for that. All right? Good. The next one, if you have questions, kindly write them down after I will take the questions and then we could move from there. Good. The next one is speaking. For your speaking, TCF, we are looking at 3 tasks as well, which will be done in 12 minutes. And then TEF is 2 tasks, which will be done in 15 minutes. For TCF, the good news is that you have preparation time for your task 2. For your task 1, it's almost the same question. They repeat it. We've been doing it for a long time. So almost all our students who go in there, they ask the same question. Présentez-vous. Introduce yourself. So before you even go there, you've memorized how to introduce yourself. So you just go and put it there. You memorize and go and pour and you come. And you go to the task 2. For the task 2, they give you a scenario. But it's always more of asking questions, okay? So ask a question to a colleague, to a friend. They will give you a scenario. You just have to ask questions. But they'll give you 2 minutes of preparation time. And then after you speak for 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And then there's a third question where you just have to express your opinion, okay? So that's spontaneous. They don't give you any time to prepare. So that's the downside for TCF. But if you're able to master your question one before going in there, you already have marks for that. And then your question two, if you know how to ask questions, so that's where your comma pukwa con and all the different ways of inversion, all the different ways of asking questions will come in. You need it here. So if you're already used to asking questions, or when you're learning, you just have to learn how to ask questions because that will be useful in your TCF. For TEF, you have 15 minutes to talk. They don't give you any preparation time. It's an ongoing conversation. They ask you questions, you respond. And normally you can't really predict what is coming in TEF. I think TEF was really made for academic people because of how it is, like people who have been studying the language for the longest time. But for TCF, once even if you're a beginner and you study the structure, master it well, I mean, I'm not saying that as a complete beginner, you can get a B2, but once you have like a good structure, once you have like a good foundation, it's easy for you to find your way around. It's just that when it gets to the tax 3 for TCF, it's when you get to the TCF tax 3, it's spontaneous. A popular question that they usually will ask is, what do you think about video games? Does it affect kids? So you have to talk on the spot and convince them, like tell them whether it's good or it's bad and how it affects kids and all. Working from home, travailler à la maison ou bien le télétravail, is it good or bad? Working from home, remote work, is it good or bad? So you have to also like defend your argument. So that's the downside for TCF. So basically, this is what it's about. So the verdict, this is my personal opinion based on the experience that we've acquired over the years. I would say that TCF is easy. Very, very easy because of structure. Once you master the structure, once you master the rules, the requirements, once you know what is expected of you, it's very easy for you to get the B2. But the thing about TEF is that it does not, all of these really, yeah, both of these, I think I'll take the questions later because it's a bit distracted. Okay. All of these, what was I saying before the message from Willie? Anyways, the TEF does not follow structure. It's more spontaneous. It's more academic. It's more academic writing and all that. So if you don't, for people who probably have like master's degree or did bachelor's degree in French, could take that. But I've seen most people come to our school and they did their bachelor's, they did their master's, and they go take the TEF and they still fail. And they come and then we teach them with structure of the TCF and they go and they pass. So even with those people who have that strong foundation, they fail the TEF. So that's how intense TEF can be. But with TCF, because it has structure, if you follow and master that structure that we use, you can easily get the marks that you are looking out for. So that's my verdict. I would always choose TCF, always, always. Before I took these exams, I used to think TEF would be easy because, of course, they are just asking 2 questions for speaking, 2 questions for writing. Meanwhile, TCF is 3-3, so why not just go with the 2-2? But you'll see that it's 2, but it's really not easy. Do you understand? I understood it better after I took my exams and then I was trained for it. Then I realized that, oh, it's actually easy if you know the structure. And the good news about TCF is that they repeat past questions as well. So if you master it really, even if you're a beginner and you're able to like learn the language a bit to get a strong foundation and you master the structure, you will do it. Like it's that simple. But TEF is not like that. There's no past questions. There's really, yeah, the past questions there, they don't repeat them. So yeah, you are just learning it to prepare yourself for the exams. But for TCF, the past questions available, they actually do repeat them. Yeah, so that's my verdict on that. These are some of our success stories. I couldn't post those, so I just put 2 in here. As you can see, I told you about the whole thing about they repeating past questions and the fact that it follows structure. So once these people are not like, they were not people who did French from, say, university, or people who had strong foundation, they were just beginners like you, or people who had A1, A2 level, that they followed the structure, mastered it, they went to write, and then even someone having a C2, C2. You see them and even speak to them in French, but they may probably not even understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, the aim is to get or pass the exam. It's not to come and flex that I can speak French. Who cares? But yeah, that's the point. Okay. Next thing is how long it takes. It really does depend on the individual. We've trained people who were able to take the exams in 6 months, and even recently, one of our students who was called and was part of the 5,000 people I showed you up there used just 4 months, but she had A1, so we just built on it, and then she was able to do it in 4 months. I've seen another person also do it in 6 months. I've seen another person also do it in 12 months. Like I said, it depends on your consistency. It depends on your availability and then your capacity. It's language. Not everyone is able to understand fast. Not everyone is able to move at a particular pace. So it really just depends on the individual. But the major thing is consistency. Like you can't come to class today and then, or you can't study French today and tomorrow you're not doing anything about it. You really just forget and prolong your process. And some of the things that I've also realized is that most people, when they have like their postgraduate work permits, they think, oh, I have 3 years, I have time, blah, blah, blah. And then they wait and they slow down. And when it's like 6 months for their permit to expire or 4 months, then they want us to do magic for them. It doesn't work like that. We are not magicians. Like no French teacher is a magician. Even the best trained TCF examiner or educator is not a magician that they can help you do it in 3 months or 4 months. So now that you have some time, start now. That's like the best advice I could give you, because it really just depends on your consistency, capacity, and availability. Okay. Common mistakes, just in case you are here and you've taken the exams before or you're planning on taking it, these are some of the things that you need to avoid. One is time management. You need to manage your time, like avoid wasting time. It's like you're now thinking about what to say. Remember, you have 60 minutes to write 3 tasks or 2 tasks, and you are now thinking of what to say, or maybe like you type what to say and then you erase everything and you now restart. And all. I've seen people who are really good, but they never finish, and then that affects them. That can cost you. So you really need to manage your time. Now that you are preparing towards the exams, you don't just prepare how to write or respond to these questions, but you also prepare or learn towards how fast you go, like your pace. So if I give you task 1, right from the beginning, we are training you to be able to write task 1 in less than 10 minutes. Like you can't do it beyond 10 minutes. Task 2, you are doing it in 15 minutes. Task 3, you are doing it in 20 minutes. So before you realize, you have about 10 minutes left to go through, to review, to correct and all that. So you need, as you are working on it or you are preparing towards it, work on your pace and manage your time. Start now. Another thing is to avoid using informal language. For instance, like street French language, to say I don't know, people say je sais pas or bien je sais pas. But during your exams, please go with what you learned in school and write your je ne sais pas. Like write everything in full or say everything in full. Like don't do informal stuff during the exams. One student was talking about her work and she said boulot. Like, yeah, it's correct to say that, but that's informal. So go with the emploi ou bien travail. Okay, so avoid informal language when writing the exams. Avoid poor pronunciation and hesitation. The issue is not even, they don't really care about your accents. They don't grade you based on your accents, like how you talk and all that, because of course there are different accents in the world. Your native language will always sort of influence how you speak in French. So that's not an issue, but the issue more is when you pronounce the word badly, like you don't pronounce, like instead of saying like peu, ou bien instead of saying peuvent, you say peu, or instead of saying étudiant, you say like, you know, those pronunciation is not about accent, it's more about pronunciation problem. So when you're learning the language, if you're a beginner, what you should be focusing on right now is pronunciation. Your pronunciation should be your number one aim. Once you get that off the way, the rest will follow. And also you need to avoid hesitation. It's like, for instance, tax 3, when you have to give your opinion, there's a high chance you hesitate because you are really thinking on the spot. But you need to avoid long hesitation. Is okay, occasional hesitation is allowed, but the one that you pause and it's like you are really thinking and it's so obvious that you are thinking, it will go against you. Lack of advanced connectors or even advanced vocabulary. There are some words that, yeah, it's good to use them, but it shows that you are a beginner. So you need to focus more on every word that you know. When you're during your writing, your speaking sessions, your practice session, ask yourself, is there a better way to say it? Is there an advanced way to say it? It's like saying toujours, like always saying je pense que. But you, like, I think that, but you could say à mon avis, in my opinion, right? That's like a better way or advanced way to say it. Another example is like using connectors like mais, like but. But an advanced way to say it is cependant. Okay, so you start training yourself to get used to using connectors, like advanced connectors and advanced vocabulary. They are very important right from the beginning, whichever class you are taking or wherever you are, where, even if you are doing self-study, whatever, start practicing that and get used to it from the get-go. Another thing is understanding the task before answering. I've read amazing scripts, amazing tests. They seem so good. And then you look at the question and you look at the answer and you are like, oh boy, this person didn't understand or this person didn't read the answer, the question. So always understand the question, understand the task before you even attempt to answer it. And the good news is that for TCF like this, they will give you what they are expecting of you. So for instance, write a letter to your friend to invite her to come for your birthday party. Then they will show it there that what they want you to do is tell your friend the date, the time, the location, and the venue. So these are the 4 things that TCF will tell you to focus on. You need to focus on these 4 things. If you don't focus on them and you rather go and talk about, say, the food, you talk about the people coming and all that without talking about these 4 things first, that's deviation. So that can affect you. So always focus on what the instruction is saying, what the question is asking. Once you do that, after you are done and your word count is still not up to, like, let's say they ask you to write up to 120 and you've written 80, but you've covered these 4 things, then you can add the other things to it. So if they are grading you, it will not go against you. But if I forget these 4 and I come and focus on my own thing, please say bye-bye to the exams. You failed already. If they ask me 4 things and I only write about 3 things, you will lose marks. So focus on everything that they are asking you and do it. Good. And another thing to also pay attention to is repetition of vocabulary. Remember that the person grading your tax 1, 2, and 3, they are the same, like the person grading the 1 is the same person grading the 2 and 3. And so if you repeat vocabulary in tax 1, you come and use those same words in tax 2 and 3. That is known as repetition. So that can go against you. So you need to avoid that. Like, I was reading a text this week and then the person kept on saying, le travail, le travail, le travail, le travail. Like, but there are other ways to say that, so see. Like, there are other ways to also say that. Okay, so avoid repeating words. Also, when it comes to your speaking, the part where you have to ask questions, make sure you're asking enough questions. Make sure you are speaking within the time given to you. So if they tell you that you are speaking for 3 minutes, 30 seconds, make sure you finish all that. You don't do 2 minutes and be looking at their face. They will even be asking you more questions. That can even confuse you. So make sure during your practice time or your training time, you are working with the time given. Right? And when it comes to your writing, Another big thing that you need to avoid is ignoring accents and spelling errors. I've seen amazing scripts where whatever they've written is good, just that they are missing their accents. Like if I'm talking about je t'ai, then the était has to have an accent on it, but they don't put the accent on it. J'ai mangé, and then you see that there's no accent on the manger. That will go against you. You lose lots of marks. So as you are learning, learn the position of the accents, learn how to use it, and also learn, like I mentioned, start practicing your pace so that you're able to finish the exams or the 3 writings or the 2 writings in 50 minutes. So you have that 10 minutes to go over all the tasks, to correct all the errors, because some of the errors are very minor that you could correct them yourself if you pay attention to it or if you have time to do it. Just as some people don't even finish their work, so they are not even able to go through the work. And later you see the script and you are like, this thing could have been avoided. It's like saying je manger, and because you're under pressure and you're typing, you go and write je mange, right? And you didn't have time to go over, so you didn't see the error. That could have been avoided. You see, so work on that as well. And then writing too much irrelevant or unlogical information. Like I said earlier, if they ask you about these 4 things, go straight to these 4 things. Don't go and focus on irrelevant things that are not like asked. Okay, so focus on what is asked. And when I say unlogical information, for your speaking or even your writing, they will ask you to talk about a location or describe a location and tell your friend what you'll be doing. And then you write and say that, oh, I visited Eiffel Tower in Canada. It's not logical. Eiffel Tower is not in Canada. It's in France. It's in Paris. So when you're talking about, or maybe I visited the White House, La Maison Blanche, in Canada. It's not in Canada. It's in the US. So when it comes to those things, like be logical about it. If you want to play it safe, go with locations that people cannot come and question you. If I go and write Menchia, of course, you don't know Menchia. So even if I say Menchia is in Paris or Menchia is in Canada or whatever, you can't fault me. But the popular places, monuments and all that, like you are talking about the Louvre, and then you go and write that the Louvre is in the US. You see what I mean? So those are not logical. So you have to pay attention to it. They will be checking that. The last one is lack of practice with real exams, conditions, or simulations. When you are practicing, please practice knowing how the exams, like what the exams require you to. One thing that we do over here that I really like is the fact that we don't teach you the French from school or the French that maybe, for instance, we have a class like a 12-week class for beginners or for travel or even for fluency. They just want to learn the French. In that class, when we are teaching you the numbers, we are teaching you alphabets, we are teaching you days of the week, months of the year, and all that. But when you come to TCF, nobody is going to teach you how to count numbers. Because during the exams, to be fair, nobody is going to ask you count numbers. Do you understand? Nobody is going to ask you recite your alphabet. Of course, alphabets will be needed for your pronunciation, but no one is going to tell you to do some certain things like talk about the days of the week. Those ones, they don't do it. So then we bring it, what we do is we bring it to the exam. So if we take days of the week, at what points do you use the dates of the week during the exams? Is when you're writing a date. So rather focus on teaching you how to write dates using the days of the week. At what points will they ask you something about time, about numbers? That will be for time, or that will be for your age. So rather focus on teaching you how to say your age in French, and then rather focus on teaching you how to say time in French, because these are things or questions they could ask. So don't focus so much on things that are not relevant. That is why most schools can take 12 months to train you to take the exams. That's because they are focusing on the things that are not relevant. But if they structure it to your needs based on the exam, then everything comes back to whatever you are doing comes back to the exam. So when you are practicing or you're studying, try and use that structure, but you also need to understand how the exams work. So you have to make a decision now. Are you going with the TCF or are you going with the TEF? If it's the TCF, how does it work? Okay, possible questions that they could ask. How then do I learn? That can help you and guide you throughout this journey. Good. Recommended resources that you could use. TV5 Mon, it's a good one to help with your listening, to practice, to tune your ears and all that. We also have the RFI Français Facile. You could also visit that website. It helps with your listening. There's also Prep My TEF or TEF. This one is only for TEFs or TEF. If you're writing TEF, you only have to buy, it's a package. So you buy the package and then practice with it. And there's also Le Français des Affaires. You could also check that. And there's Formation TCF Canada. This is my personal favorite. That's if you're writing TCF, you go with that one. So these are some resources that you could consult. All right. Okay. I think I'll just take the questions that was asked in the chat. So which of them will you highly recommend, TCF or TF? I think I answered that. So that's our. And do you mean you can train someone with no knowledge of French? Of course. That's why we are here. That's what we do. And then I see. Is TEF a face-to-face interaction for speaking aspects? Yes, both TEF and TCF, it's face-to-face. And I think those are the 3 questions. And there's a name, Lady. Sorry, I can't pronounce your first. Lady, you said you had a question. Either you put it in the chat or you just raise your hand and you ask. Please, I don't know if you've spoken about the cost of the exam already. If so, kindly reshare. Yeah, so for the exam, depending on where you find yourself, for TCF Canada, it's I'll use Canadian dollars. It's 450 Canadian dollars, including tax. But it also depends on the center you're writing. The center we usually write or the students write is called GB Center, and that's 450. But if you're writing with Alliance Française, you could get it for, it's 390 with Alliance Française. It's cheaper there. The same thing for the TEF. For the TEF is also is it 387 or 385, one of them. Yeah. But TCF is more expensive as compared to TEF. There are a couple of them I like to ask. Kindly let me know when I go. Okay. How often is a TEF written in a year? Joanna, where are you located? It depends on where you're located. In Canada, it's almost every day. Every day. In Ghana, Vian, I think Vian will know that. In Ghana, the last exam was in July, will be August. There's August, and then there should be one in September as well. Yeah. But for Canada, it's every day. For France, it's every day. For US, you would have to check the center. Yeah. For Ghana, the last one I saw was July or August, one of them. I will check and put it, I have the calendar so I can put it on the page to share that with you. Okay, in Ghana, it depends on the year. But yeah, I'll put the calendar on the page so you can check and see. There's a registration ongoing at UNE. Okay, good. Good. Lady, yes, you can unmute and ask your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ellen. It's been insightful. So I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
My first question, with regards to the word count, we all have different handwriting. So then I would like to confirm how the word count is done. Is it by word or the number of words that you write on each line? Or I really want clarity on that. And then my second question is how to prepare. For someone like me, I have a little bit of knowledge in French, but having to know the fact that I am in an Anglophone country, I'm Ghana, and so sometimes your environment affects your ability to prepare, especially with the orals. So what would you advise that I do to probably help? Especially I find that my French is becoming a bit rusty because the Anglophone environment seems to
Yeah.
influence the competence. So it's there all right, but I don't find it as strong as it used to be. I haven't lost it all, but I just want some tidbits on how to keep the oral strong. Yes, sometimes I try to reach out to one or two francophone people I know, but I
No, I
just
get
want
what you
some
mean.
things very
Yeah.
yeah. And then for the TCF Mond and RFE, I find it, I don't know, when for the materials you suggested for the TCF Mont and then the RFE, I find it quite, I don't know, personally, I find that the questions and everything they put there is way too easy or basic as compared to what you actually see in the exam. So I don't know if maybe,
Okay, let
I
me
don't know
take the
if,
first one. Sure, I get your question.
okay,
So the first one, your word counts, you don't, like I mentioned, the exam is computer based. So it's that computer that is counting. During your exams, you see on the screen the word counts. If you write there, you see there. If you write sa, you see it will add up two, three. So it's a computer that's counting. It's not about your handwriting. So the computer is counting it for you. So at the end of the day, you see on your screen how many words you've written so far. All right. And then,
okay,
but your second question, how to practice. I get what you are saying with the background, with people and all that, but one thing you can also do is to talk to yourself. Like record, I recommend recording yourself a lot. Like if you pick a TCF question based on the 2 by 4 French you know, or that French that you know, put them together and record it. Okay? Like record, because really TCF, the questions are already structured. So you really don't need, yeah, if you have someone to practice with, good. But if you don't have anyone to practice with, recording, talking to yourself in front of the mirror, asking the questions. If you can do the recording and you have someone to send it to check for you, that's also good. Or if you can call someone to do that. But yeah, really.
okay,
I'm in
okay,
Canada and where I am, or even all our students could testify to it. They don't have, okay, apart from the group class where they have like group partners to study with and speak with, but people who do like the one-on-one classes with us, they don't have people to practice with. Okay, that one too, they will send us their work for us to review for them. So that's also different. But yeah, the whole point is that regardless of your location, you can still, or you can put, I don't know if chat does the word, like you can speak to chat. There should be an application where you could just talk to, does one, Voca AI, they can correct
okay,
your errors. Check with chat because I know that with chat you can send voice recording and all that. You can speak to chat and say that correct. Show me where I made a mistake. I'm writing TCF. Show me, help me polish it. Like put it in the. Oh, you do that with chat. Yeah, 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 yeah.
okay,
So I don't think that should really be a problem, but
okay.
just focus more on using the exam structure and yeah, going with that.
Okay. So please, for my last question has to do with the approach that you would suggest for the preparation. Like I was saying early on, personally, I find the TCF Mond and then the RFE, the questions and the whole thing they put there very much easy as
It's
compared to
not,
what you
it's
actually.
not, it's not very much easy. It depends on the question. It depends on what you are listening to. If you are say, if the plan is to take TCF and you're using TV5 more to practice, it gives you, it's not easy. Like it's almost the same as what you have during the exams. That's the thing. Just that with TCF, what happens is that they have different accents. Mostly when it gets to the Quebec accent, that's a struggle for students. Like I said, I agree 100%. It took me a long time to even understand them, like when they talk. Even though I'm here, like when they talk, it's like I'm in the moon. It's hard to understand. So that's the part where it sort of confuses students. But you could also use Formation TCF Canada. For them, it's almost the same as the TCF one. Like it's really, it is what it is. Like those images you see in TV5 Mond that is there, and then they ask questions. those same images, you come and see some of them in the TCF. That's it. Like there's no
So,
difference.
so it's basically because of the accent that changed in the exam that makes it a bit
I
of a
believe so.
struggle, if I'm getting
I believe so.
okay.
I think TV5 mod is more of the French. But even TV5 mod, they have different accents in there. Pay attention to that. You should see it. Like it's not always le vrai français. It's not always like the true French. Like there's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the Beninois and then the Ivorian and all those ones. I guess we are
Yeah.
probably used to it. But when it comes to um the Quebec one, that's a bit of a struggle. Anyways,
Yeah.
good.
Um,
Uh,
sorry,
Another
sorry,
question.
sorry to I wanted clarity on the word count. So you were mentioning that if you're using the computer, probably it will give you the word count. So
Yeah, it
if
always
you're,
does.
that means that you have to count
Yeah.
word for word to
Yes.
get the
Yes.
actual.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But
All right.
with even in Accra, they still do the Accra, they do the computer based. I believe so. The last time I checked, it was computer based. Unless things have changed that I do not know. But it should be computer based.
Okay.
Good. They still do paper. Oh, okay. Can you please talk about the fees from A1 to B2? I don't understand. Like for the exams? Ola, if you can unmute and ask the question, I didn't catch it. Oh, if we have to train. So here we have two ways of training. We have the group class and then we have the private class. So the group class will be for beginners, intermediates, whichever level that you are. So there's a group class and then each class will have maximum 7 people in the class. So we go with the pace of the group. And then we also have the private one. So the individual one that we meet students based on their time and all that. So that's also it. So I did put currently we've already started 2 sessions where we are training people. So those classes are full. Those ones are in session because we started about a month ago. And then we are starting our third cohort, which is starting the 4th of August. We have 2 classes, that's 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is probably like 10 to 11 p.m. in Ghana. And then the second class is 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. EST, which is about 11:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. in Ghana. And our rate is fixed, which is 130 USD per month. So depending on how long, like I said, it depends on your consistency. It depends on how fast you learn. Then we are able to let you go write it. But if you are like a slow learner, it means you'll be with us for a while. If you are not consistent, it means you'll be with us for a while. So yeah, that's about it. iPhone, like I said, the duration is dependent on the individual. We've had students who took the session and they finished in 6 months, finished in 4 months, 5 months, also depending on the level. I can see Ola said he has like A1. Someone with A1, we are not going to start from scratch with the person. The person or I believe the person should have like a strong foundation by now. So we just build on it. So that could take less time. So it really depends on your level before registration of the class. And then it also depends on your consistency after. But our times are fixed. So that can be different. But if you want us to work with your time, then it has to be a one-on-one class. Yeah, so that's about it. And for the levels, if you are talking beginners, we are looking at someone with A to A2. Those are beginners, okay? But we will not put A and A2 in the same class. So the A2 people will be in one class, and then the A people will be in another class because we are starting from scratch. If you have a level of B1 or B2, I will not recommend you to join a group class. I'll recommend you to do a private class because at this point, you already have a solid foundation of the language. You just have to train you with the structure of the exam and get you there. Do you understand? So it's very easy for you to even finish and take the exam as soon as possible. Recently, we had a student who came in with B1. We were able to train the person, help her to move from A1 in less than 2 months to, no, not A1. Help her to move from B1 to B2 in less than 2 months and take the exams and then get a strong B2. And even for the listening comprehension and all that, she ended up having C2 in both. I think I showed the image up there. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. And how much is the fee in card? In card is 180 card per month. If you're interested in joining our sessions, feel free to send me a message after the session and then we can book you. Currently, for the third cohort, it's supposed to be a total of 14 people because there are two groups, but 8 spots have already been taken. So the rest, I think we just have 7 or we have 7 up. Vianney can confirm. We have about 7 more people spots. So first come, first served. If not, then the rest goes to private one-on-one. Yeah, that's about it. Unless there are questions. Oh, right on time. Good. Do we have questions? Are we okay? Or good? How do you know your level? Oh, I'll send a link to the page. Are you on the page? If you're on the page, I'll send a link. Yeah, okay, I'll send a link to the page and then you can test your level. I'll send a link right after the meeting for you to check your level. And when is the next cohort taking place? That's 4th August. Any discount? We don't do discount, though, unfortunately, because we don't do discounts. Yeah, no discount, sorry. Unfortunately, we don't. Even this class is already, even the third cohort is already discounted, so we don't. Oh, good. No questions? How much is the one-on-one class? So our one-on-one class is also 18 USD per an hour, which is if you are in Canada, that's 25 card. Anyone? I said the next cohort is starting on the 4th. Yes, per an hour. I guess we are good. Okay. If there are no questions, I would let you go. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to send me a message. Can you run me through the point again? Hey, please, please, I beg. I'll send the recording to the page so you can watch it. I already talked about all that. I'll send the recording right after so you can check it. Good. All right. If there are no more questions, we'll call it a day. Thank you for joining. How can I join the page? Oh, how can you join the page? Who gave you the link? The person should have the flyer so you can scan and join. Obed, who invited you? My sister. Who is your sister? The person should have the link. I will send him the link. Okay, got it. How do I reach out for the one-on-one? I'm on the page, and the name on the page is Français avec Ellen, so you can send me a message. Ife, are you on the page? Ife, are you on the page? Yes, so I'm going to say a hello on the page right away. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Nash. You can, oh, I showed you some of the testimonial. I can send that to the page as well. So you can see iPhone. I'll send the testimonial to the page. How many students have we trained? Let me take it from just this year. This year so far, we've trained about 48 students, and most of them are still having their class. And we've had 7 people take the exam so far, and out of the 7, 6 have already gotten their results and they passed, and then 4 have already been called. It was only just one person who didn't pass this year. So I'm just even taking you to this year. Yeah. So we are that good. Not to brag, but we are. Hi, Lydia. Good to see you. Anyways, how long did the 6 do the class before writing the exams? It depends. One did the class for 4 months, another person did it for 6 months, the one who wrote it last month did it for 10 months, and even one person wrote it today. So this person had been with us for the past 7 months. So the one who wrote today has been with us for 7 months. Okay. I think I've answered all the questions. And I'll send the testimonials to the page as well. Can you tell me how much it is? I said the one-on-one is 18 USD, but that's 25 card Canadian dollars. In card, 25. Are we good? Placing peeps of different competence in them. We don't put people of different competencies in the same class. If you have A, you are a complete beginner, you'll be in one class. If you are A1, you'll be in one class. If you are A2, you'll be in one class. So before you register, we will test your level and then we put you in a class. You will never be in a class with someone who has a different level. We don't do that here. That's not the aim. Yeah. How can I register? Um, are you on the page? No. Okay. Vianney, can you text the number to him so that he can text us, or take his number and then we can take it from there. Please, we are done. Oh. Yes, yes. Are you on the WhatsApp page? I would. Yeah, I'm just going to send a message there right now and then you can text me and we'll take it from there. Thank you all so much for joining. If there are no questions, please be leaving so that I can also leave. As you are here, I'm not able to leave. Thank you for joining. And if you have any questions in the future, you can feel free to text me on the page and then we'll take it from there. Bonne nuit tout le monde. Okay, I think I'll just stop.